What's up, guys? Dave here back again. Today we'll take a look at what happened this Monday, April 15. The Notre-Dame Cathedral was caught on fire. But how did this happen? Was it accidental or maybe intended? And if so, by who? I will admit that I'm slightly nervous and uncertain on how to phrase myself on this topic. Because, as we all know, YouTube, well, not only YouTube, but the general media, the news, and even the citizens now, they will do everything they can to censor what goes against the agenda. But I believe it is our right to ask questions, especially when the world around us is in danger, when it's trembling down in front of us. Secrecy, cover-ups, red flags, lies, manipulation and programming, God-fearing people and those who fight free speech and thought. It is in times like these that we have to ask questions. I've been reading article upon article and watched videos shared by the news upon the fire. I've read and listened to the thoughts of others, and I see that one group is being protected. Islam is under the wings of those who pull the strings. I see claims of hoaxes. I see videos, pictures and comments being removed and striked by the censorship. It is not in my intent to blame anyone, let's be clear on that. We're simply going to ask questions and take a look at the public's concerns. Some people think that the fire was started by jihadist Muslims, while others suspect it to be an inside job. Before I go any further, I would like to show you this clip to demonstrate the censorship.
Philippe Carcente is on the line with us, a French elected official who is in Paris now. Philippe, what have you seen and what do you know?
Well, I was close to the scene when it happened, and no, I left the place because we want to let people work around it. Everybody's really under shock now in France. I would tell you something. It's even if nobody died. I mean, it's like a 9/11. It's a French 9/11, you know. And it's a big shock. I mean, this church was there for more than 850 years. Even the Nazis didn't dare to destroy it. And you need to know that for the past years, we had churches desecrated each and every week in France, all over France. So, of course, you will hear the story about the political correctness, which will tell you that it's probably an accident.
Sir, we're not going to speculate here of the cause of something which we don't know. If you have observations or you know something, we would love to hear it.
No, I'm just telling you something. What you need to be ready.
No, sir, we're not doing that here. Not now.
Okay.
Not on my watch.
Okay.
Philippe Carcente, it's very good of you to be here. We're watching the at least partial destruction of a world icon. Notre-Dame Cathedral has been burning for 2.5 hours. The initial reports we got were that the fire started in a construction zone in the rear. We are thousands of miles away, and the man on the phone with us has absolutely no information of any kind about the origin of this fire, and neither do I. And the fire investigators will at some point come to a determination about what caused this, and conspiracy theories about anything are worthless.
As you can hear, we're not allowed to speculate. Well, that is of course, unless we say it was an accident. Everything else is no. But let's see what we can do, and I'll try to be careful with my words. And hopefully you can think your own thoughts, which is the whole point of this video. I'm not telling you that anything is like this, because honestly, I don't know. I myself is here to ask questions. I look around, I see, oh, this guy is saying this guy is saying that. What are they all saying? What is the crowd saying? What is the media saying? What is the public? What is the elite? What are they all saying? And how does it all fit together? First off, we'll be looking at it from the angle of those who suspect it to be an inside job. And then those who think it was an act of Islamists. To take the more concerning route, maybe paranoid approach according to some people, we'll take a second to reflect. The first thing I noticed when looking into this was the date, April 15. And as all who've looked into secret societies or maybe just watched a few videos, we all know that the secret societies has a thing for numbers, symbolism, and rituals. So, what significance does April 15 hold? Well, it just so happens to be the date for other events done in the shadows. We have the night that President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by the well-known actor John Wilkes Booth, a member of the secret society, the Knights of the Golden Circle. And close to 50 years later, we see the insurance scam known as the sinking of Titanic, where the famous ship has been switched out with the twin ship, the Olympic, and after so it was sunken on purpose. If you want more in-depth information on these happenings, don't worry, I will leave links in the description below. Moving on, we have the Hillsborough Disaster, when a member of the Freemasons was put in charge for something he had zero experience in. When actions taken led to the death of 96 people, and they tried to cover it up by putting the blame on the Liverpool fans. I tell you, I watched a documentary on this last night. It was horrible, terrible event. To get closer to more recent times, we have the Boston Marathon explosions. This was treated as a case of terrorism, but you can't help but wonder how some people knew about the explosions before they even occurred. 2 hours before the bombs actually went off, the Boston Globe had already tweeted about it. As you can see by the timestamps, the tweet was posted 12:53 p.m., while the first bomb didn't even explode until 2:49 p.m. Something is off in this world. And now, 2019, April 15, the Notre-Dame Cathedral was caught on fire. So what is it? Ritual? Distraction? Coincidences? While scrolling through the comment sections, I noticed a guy who believed it to be an attempt of the elite to get their hands on some art to their underground cities. I believe he's talking about the theories of the elite having underground bunkers in case of catastrophes, such as the one at the Denver airport. If you don't know about it, there is believed to be a gigantic bunker underneath. The airport was made by Freemasons and contains lots of abnormal art, I think you could say, including a suspicious stone, clearly dedicated to the Freemasons. But Dave, how would they get the artifacts from the cathedral? How does that make any sense? Well, put things in order. When knowing where you have what and what you want out, pack some of the smaller stuff that can be removed without anyone noticing. Because let's remember, the fire wasn't started until after the cathedral had been closed for the day. So when people left, it would have been easy to pack some stuff together and smuggle it out. And when all things are as planned, you can start the fire. Well, it of course helps to remove some of the more difficult parts before the fire. So you could take the statues from the roof as a part of the renovation work maybe, and put them somewhere else. Which they actually did. As 16 bronze statues of apostles and evangelists was taken down from the roof just 4 days before it went up in flames. And if that was the thought behind it, it would make much sense, as it was the roof that was the center part of the fire, and the spire that the statues were placed around was destroyed. So had the statues still been there, they would have been destroyed too. Whew. It has been said by people that the fireworks took a long time to arrive at the place, but I've also seen people say that they saw firemen around the area before the fire trucks even had arrived. But in general, not only people, the Fox News too, are saying that the firemen took about 2 hours or so to arrive to the cathedral, even though the fireworkers deny that they were late on the scene.
The delay between what was initially described as a small fire with a small amount of smoke, the delay in getting the fire brigades there over that 2-hour period?
No, it's still.
I mean, I figure the
unclear
traffic
what
is intense, as it always is in the afternoon rush in Paris.
Yeah, and it really did break out around the time of rush hour. So, you know, the sound of sirens wouldn't be abnormal at that time of day.
An hour after the fire had started, a Notre-Dame spokesman told the Fox News that everything was burning and nothing would remain. Could it possibly be that this is what they had hoped for? I mean, that would of course go to the theory of them trying to take out the art. Who knows? Another fun fact, by the way. From the start, they have been portraying it as a possible accident caused during the renovations. But there was no workers at the site of the time. None. At least that is what the architect in charge says. The fire lasted for 15 hours. Lots of stuff, such as paintings and the crown of thorns, or whatever they call it, was managed to be saved by emergency teams. No lives were lost. The spire collapsed and the wooden roof was ruined. The towers are still intact though, and so was much of the interior, it seems. Some people are speculating that this was done purposefully, in order to gain international sympathy, resulting in huge donations. Which it did. They have already pledged hundreds of millions of euros to help rebuild and recover the damages. Before the fire, the cathedral was already being worked upon, work that would have taken more than a lifetime, and they were not doing so well on the financial part. If you want to know more about the poor maintenance of the Notre-Dame, there will be a link in the description. But yeah, now with all the generous donations from companies, citizens and more, a team is being put together, and even other countries such as Russia and Spain has offered their support to help the renovation of the over 850 years old cathedral. And it's believed that it would take up to 5 to 10 years to repair it. Let's just say thankfully, the historic piece of architecture wasn't burned all the way to the ground. Just for another funny coincidence, before we move on to talking about the possibility of it being a jihadist act by Islamists, I think I'll have to show you this video, put up by the end of 2013. We see a Christ-like figure foresighting the fall of the Notre-Dame spire. So what do you think? Does it seem unlikely? Let's dive into another perspective. When the cathedral had went on fire, Monday, April 15, shocking things were seen online. Muslims cheering and celebrating the fire. This video you see right here was marked as a hoax, a video of the cathedral on fire. It was reacted upon with laughter from seemingly Islamic named profiles. BuzzFeed accused it of being a hoax, saying that we don't know the motive for the choice of emojis and that it doesn't say anything about religion. How can it be impossible to know what you mean when you're making a smiley that is laughing out loud. Funny enough, when I came by an article at one point where the user had made a video to prove that it wasn't a hoax, the video got taken down. Suspicious? Another interesting piece of footage shows a male walking in the cathedral. I haven't been able to find specific timestamps, but let's think about it. The media portrays the fire as an accident. Muslims are cheering, believing it to be a punishment of Allah. Workers had left the place already an hour before the fire started. And the firemen supposedly took 2 hours to get on site. So who is this man? Some speculated to be a male Muslim, while others, like BuzzFeed, believe it to be a fireman. What do you think? Do you think that the firemen had already arrived at the time and entered? Do you think it could be the one who set the fire? Or do you think something completely else? You might wonder why some would think of it to be an act by Muslims. But if you take a look at some of the verses in the Quran and match it with the reactions, it might make a little more sense. It says in the Quran, "Similar situations have passed on before you, so proceed throughout the earth and observe how was the end of those who denied." When looking upon this verse and matching it with what happened this Monday, it would be an indication that it was Allah punishing the Catholics. Another concerning verse of such theme. "And kill them wherever you overtake them, and expel them from wherever they have expelled you. And fitna is worse than killing. And do not fight them at al-Masjid al-Haram until they fight you there. But if they fight you, then kill them. Such is the recompense of the disbelievers." These texts are not to be ignored, as to some, they are very important and held dear, taken seriously. You might be with BuzzFeed and say that these emojis doesn't mean anything at all, but let's take a look at the different comments and statements then. Does this hold any meaning? Or would you still say that we can't put religion on it? Even the Canadian politician Yves Torres says that this is the wrath of Allah, a divine intervention in response to the banning of the Islamic veil, and then claims that she said it as a joke? Is this how Muslims joke about? What? Remember again, I'm not telling you what happened, if it was intentionally or an accident, and I'm not trying to blame anyone. I know this is a sensitive subject, but I have to put up all the factors when speaking of the case. And then I trust you to make your own opinion. What truly came as a shock to me when researching this was to see all the churches of France that has been under attack, not only by Muslims but also leftist protesters or whatever you want to call them. You only have to go a month back and you'll see that the Saint-Sulpice Church was set on fire too. This is the second largest church in Paris, right before the Notre-Dame Cathedral. Some article says that the cause of the fire remains unknown, while many others says it was set on fire deliberately. In almost 2 weeks, a dozen of churches has been vandalized in France. That accounts to almost a church a day. The attacks are being done by illegal immigrants, criminal migrants, and far-left activists. Smearing faces, setting fires, theft, outright vandalism. One church was even invaded as a form of protest towards their dissatisfaction, or whatever you want to call it, with new asylum laws. You can even see how the officers have to drag them out of there. And the same church was vandalized by a Pakistani migrant who had only arrived to France about 2 months beforehand. He was even accused of vandalism of property the month before, being February. He has no knowledge on how the system works or how to speak the language. And he even said that he don't know how he's concerned with the case he was put to court for. Unfortunately, it isn't anything new that religious sites are being vandalized. What's even worse is a case that I stumbled upon from 2016. Under a daily mass, all of a sudden came in ISIS soldiers and transformed the place into a hostage situation. And the 2 soldiers forced a father to his knees before they cut his throat. This is in France, not some distant country in nowhere. It is right here, in Europe. And as if it isn't troublesome enough that we have ISIS supporters walking around on the streets, committing their attacks, sometimes wearing shirts with the logo of the Islamic State. I even came across an article talking about plannings of future attacks in Europe. And when we today look at the Notre-Dame, can we really know for sure that it wasn't just another attack? I mean, just recently, a jihadist Muslim female, Ines Madani, was sentenced to 8 years in prison for plotting the explosion of a car outside the cathedral in 2016, 3 years ago. And the year after, 2017, this happened. So was it all an accident? And why can't we ask questions? What good does it do? Who is it helping? Why are we to believe what we are told? So this video was made from the sources and material that I've been able to gather from these past 2 days of research. So my last question is, what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then I'll see you next time. Dave's out. Have a good one. Stay safe and take care.